Hi everyone. After trying using shaders as a part of some transparent PNG images, I wanted to make a video about it. And since it works great with illustrations, I used the ones I generated in Firefly. I tried to pick a shader that fits for each section, like in the first one, a wave gradient shader, and in the second one, a bounce shader to create an animated trail that supports the dynamic vibe the image has with these diagonal lines. And in the third one, I used the liquid gradient shader to create this rocky or earthy look. And in the last one, I used the rings shader to match the ring of the planet. Of course, I could have vectorized only the parts that I want to animate and use logo shaders, but I wanted to be able to use gradient shaders by masking them and using the transparency of images, as I said. You can find the remix link for the file in the description, and let's get started. As I mentioned, these are just PNG images with some transparent areas, which works as a mask for the shaders. I'd like to quickly mention also this text wrapper component. Of course, its title and text contents are assigned to variables for easy customization. And I also added these arrows for easy browsing. Let's check arrow button component. And here you can see its icon is assigned to a variable using material icon component. It has default and disabled variants. The other variable I needed was for the link of the arrow button. Let's go back to homepage. And I used the arrow button for easy navigation between the sections, placed next to the text wrapper as you see, and connected each to the next and previous sections. You can see the next one here has section 2 as its link's target. And since I wanted them to be at the same spot, again for an easy navigation experience, I needed to use fixed width for the text wrapper. As you can see in the preview, I can browse all the sections without moving the cursor, since they are vertically aligned, thanks to the fixed width of the text wrapper, as I said. I briefly mentioned what kind of shader I used for each section, matching the animation I need. But I also needed to rotate the ones in the second and the last one. In the second one, I realized diagonal lines for the bounce shader match the trail in a better way. I rotated it a little bit, as you can see under transforms. And also in the fourth one, I rotated the rings shader to make it circles parallel to the planet's ring, basically. I'd like to mention also the creation process of the images with transparent parts. First, I generated the images in Firefly boards, as you see. Let's click the first one and load its prompt with this first button. After coming up with the idea, I got help from AI to edit the prompt and make sure the result has minimal colors and illustrative look. I could generate vectors in Illustrator, but for this one, I wanted to work with images. So I generated the images and to make some parts transparent and to animate those and use as shader masks. I removed those parts in Photoshop. You can either drag the generated image to your board or can directly open in Photoshop. But I think since, as you can see, you're not able to generate the image you want to use in your first try, I want to drag the ones I like to the board and then downloaded them using this button, even though you can also directly open them in Photoshop by using this drop-down menu if you prefer that. Let's also check the Photoshop file I worked on to create transparent PNGs. I used object selection tool to select and remove objects, like the wave part in the surfer one. But of course I also needed the surfer as an isolated object over the transparent area. So you can see here the isolated surfer layer. Let's close this, and in the island one, it was simpler actually, since I only needed to remove the bottom part. Actually, I also needed to isolate the land part with the house and the trees. Again, using the object selection tool. You can see with the object selection tool, we can easily do that by selecting any object and adding new ones with shift click. Of course, we can also remove or unselect any of them with alt click. And that helped me to edit the background gradient. As you see, I applied to this layer at the very bottom. And it's the same in the runner one, since the trail behind the runner needs to be transparent. The astronaut one was a little more challenging, since I needed to isolate the planet ring and the astronaut, but with the help of object selection tool and some manual edits, I could do that and made the planet part transparent. Let's go back to our Framer file, and by using those transparent images in Framer and using its awesome feature shaders, we are able to mask them and bring those static images to life, right? Which lets us strengthen our storytelling and visualize what we imagined in a better way. And that wraps this tutorial up. I hope you liked it. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe, turn the notifications on, check my other tutorials, and see you in the next one.